Hello Rebrand gang, welcome to episode 42 of Rebrand Everything, the weekly graphic design show where we reimagine big company logos. This week we're going to be redesigning the Venmo logo, and thanks to Emils for submitting this on the Rebrand Everything rebrand request form. Let's get on with it. So the only time that I'd actually heard of Venmo is from watching American YouTube videos, so I kind of had a concept of what it was, but all I really knew about it was that it was some way of sending money. So to start my research, I just googled Venmo logo and found out that the logo looks like this, and the app icon looks like this. My initial knee-jerk reaction was, oh, what the hell is this? Is it something that Vimeo has produced, the video streaming website? But then when I looked it up, it's got nothing to do with Vimeo. I think it's just because they both start with the letter V and use a similar tone of blue. I think that's why I made that link in my mind, but when you actually put the logos next to each other, they're not that similar. The font's quite different. There's not really that much to say about the current logo. It's the word Venmo typed out with a slightly adapted V, so the front edge is a little bit curved, and that's pretty iconic now, and I think that's down to it being the main icon on the app. On the app page on the App Store, it says that Venmo is a fun and fast mobile payment app, and the screenshots of the app that you can see here look very bright and fun, and they've got these nice creative illustrations. But then when you look at that in comparison to the main Venmo website, it looks very corporate and cold, which is kind of weird. Luckily for me, this website had a branding page with links to download the logos in vector formats, which obviously saves me a lot of time ferreting all over the internet looking around for vector versions of the logos. I think for an app that describes itself as fast and fun, I think the logo could be taken in a lot of different directions to kind of help convey that message. Whilst designing these, I'm going to develop the app icon in tandem, as that's kind of become the modern day logo, because on a home screen the app icon gets seen a lot more than the actual Venmo logo does, and by looking at the screenshots of the app, it doesn't look like the logo is used on every single page, so that app icon on the home screen is one of the most important elements of this design. Okay then, enough talk about this, let's get on with it. So as always at the sketching stage, I was just putting down everything in my head onto paper, just so we've got something to work on when we're in Illustrator. A lot of my recent rebrand videos that I've been doing have been products or service brands where the main digital usage would be on like the header of a website, meaning that a landscape rectangle silhouette kind of works best when designing the lockups. However, as Venmo is an app, the key part to focus on, I think, is the actual icon, the app icon that you click on to enter the app. I was looking at a lot of different icons and layouts while thinking about the fast and fun element that they're pushing on the actual app page. And then I noticed that Venmo is actually a PayPal product, so I started drawing out some ideas that use the PayPal icon for inspiration, as I feel like that could become a valid option. And it's definitely going to have a little influence on the colours used, I think, even though you probably don't want to make it too linked. Venmo don't really seem to shout about the fact that it's a PayPal company, so I'm not going to go too heavy on the PayPal like branding, but I mean, if we can take some of the colours from there just as like a hint, then I think that might work. Just sketching out ideas and getting loose with some ideas that sort of fit a young, energetic style with their current branding. And when I say current branding, I'm kind of just mainly thinking about them little creative illustrations that they've got within the app that I saw on the screenshots. So when I'm drawing these out, I find myself taking the first letter of the company name a lot, mainly because their previous logo had a V on the app icon, so I think that would be a good thing to continue. But looking at ways of sort of introducing some like dual meaning into that as well, so maybe it's a V but then it's got like an arrow coming in, an arrow coming out, kind of just like in its simplest form to show like money coming in and money coming out of an account. And then there's a few other different ideas here as well, like maybe like using the V, but it's kind of like that, like if you've got a wallet half open. I thought that could work because they also mention that Venmo is a digital wallet on their website, so I thought some ideas like that might work. And I was just thinking about the shapes and just thinking about how to introduce some double meaning into there. Please don't forget to press like on this video if you enjoy these videos, it really helps the channel out. Look what came through the post this week. I got a sample of the hat on the rebrandeverything.com website. Very meta graphic design phrase on there. I just thought I'd get one in the Rebrand Everything colours, navy blue, and it's got the little blue dot there. And I was worried that the text was going to be a little bit small and the embroidery wouldn't be too good, but I think that's pretty readable from a distance. It looks pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. I think it looks pretty cool.
Let's get on with this.
1.
So for option 1, I wanted to get straight into the theme of the fun and fast aspect of the app. I thought that I could introduce some cartoon speed lines kind of like whizzing out of the side of the V, and I took the existing V just so there's a bit of familiarity with the old and new brand. And I used the grids in Illustrator to make sure all of the lines were the same thickness, and then just split that up and just fiddled around with that until it looked about right. When I was happy with the overall layout, I used the shape builder tool just to clean up the outside paths of that, just so it made one solid unit, and then just developed that into the app icon, and also developed a way for it to sit next to the text. I feel like the cartoon speed lines also look a little bit kind of like fluidy, like liquidy, and I think this might be a good link, because I think if an app's fluid, it means it's like the user experience is good and the interface is nice. So I think it's like the fluid look of the logo kind of fits like the easy to use and fluid app. I did use a slightly different tone of blue on this just to strengthen that contrast when the logo sits on white. I thought just making it a little bit stronger, a little bit harder, just kind of helped, and also takes it away from that Vimeo arena. I rounded out the edges of the V in the icon as well, just to match up with that fluid look on the left hand side. And then a font to complement this, I found FS Rufus, and that's like a rounded slab serif font, which you can obviously see here, and I thought that worked quite well. It just had that similar vibe that I think looked quite strong and quite iconic, and a little bit quirky and different as well. 2. So for option 2, I started by drawing out a lot of simple shapes that are basically in the shape of the letter V, and I was working on adding some sort of like financial double meaning or secondary part to the logo, just so it didn't look like a generic triangle icon. What I ended up with was a very solid V mark with arrows symbolising inwards and outwards transactions. It might be a little bit too obvious for some people, and kind of looking at it again now, I feel like maybe it does look a little generic, but I do feel like it could work down at small sizes in the app icon, and I feel like it does sort of indicate what I want to indicate. I changed the blue to a navy blue to make the company feel a little bit more trustworthy and established, and also that colour ties in with the PayPal colours, which is like a subtle link to their parent company. I don't normally like to use gradients inside a logo, as they can kind of mess up when you try and use that as a single colour, but I thought because I'm not using the gradient to differentiate two parts, I'm just putting it inside one solid unit that would work in a single colour, I thought I could get away with that. And I also felt like it helped take some of the weight out of the triangle just to get that balance looking right. For the app icon, I thought it would be best to make the blue gradient in the background, just so it looks a lot stronger on the home screen than having a white icon. I never really like a white icon too much, it seems to just kind of blend in, I suppose, and depends on what background you've got on your phone, I guess. But yeah, I thought the white icon sitting on top of a blue background worked best. 3. At the sketching stage, I kept kind of accidentally drawing the logos that everyone uses for like any product that makes a person feel good. It's like this icon where it looks like that, and it's kind of like a head in the middle, and then it's just as if it's like someone with their arms up, but it also looks a little bit like a flower. And basically any time that you see the word vitality on packaging, it's normally somewhere on there will have this little icon with like a person with their arms up like that, just super simplified, but just completely overused. And because of that, it made me hesitant to try this at first, but then I thought it could work, and I think I have something that's got a pretty cool double meaning as well. So as Venmo is a digital wallet, and it says that on their website or on their app page, I can't remember, but it definitely says it somewhere. They describe themselves as a digital wallet. I thought that if I make the arms of the person kind of like overlap, so it looks like one of them sitting in front of the other, it kind of looks like a wallet kind of folded, like I was saying earlier. Meaning that the circle head of the person, in like this alternate reality that I've got going on in my head, could be a coin dropping into the wallet. So in one way it's a head and the arms coming up like, yep, this is good, which fits with the fun vibe. It's also a wallet with a coin dropping into it, just in a super simplified and symbolic form. Maybe my imagination has stretched a little bit too far on this one, or maybe this is a cool kind of double meaning idea. Let me know in the comments below, because if I am going mad, I need to know about it. 4. For option 4, I wanted to try this 3D V that is outlined instead of being a solid icon that I drew up in the sketching stage. The idea is essentially an arrow concept that creates a V shape. Using Snap to Grid to make sure everything was accurate, I drew out the rough shapes, then tried to make the spacing the same in the top and bottom section, but then it looked a little bit forced and unbalanced, so I just eyeballed the spacing in the end to make that just look comfortable. If I was reviewing this logo, I would probably complain about the small gap between the two sides of the V, but when I brought these two together and removed that gap in the middle, it suddenly felt like completely different, and I just didn't think it looked good. It should completely change the feel of the logo, and I didn't want to make it bigger, as then felt like it was going to look detached and look like a forward slash and then a backslash rather than a V. so I kind of just had to live with this one. Once I had expanded the stroke, I rounded some of the corners just to soften it down a little bit, make it a little bit more fun and friendly rather than looking like some sort of 80s sort of like Gladiator logo. I don't know why I thought of Gladiators, it just reminded me of that sort of G that they have that has the sharp bottom. So after rounding that off, I feel like it's made a little fun and friendly logo. I also played around with a few different text layouts, but thought that the most fun and friendly looking one was the lowercase, like all lowercase, no capital V. Otherwise it made it look a little bit unbalanced, I think, and the capital letters just looked a little bit shouty and aggressive, so I thought that the lowercase bold version, just kerned manually just to make it look sort of pleasant to the eye, I thought that worked quite well.
5.
Now for option 5, the initial idea was to create a coin icon that symbolised the splitting of bills that is like a popular use case for Venmo. So the idea was to sort of create a coin with the old logo on it, split that down the middle, rotate the two sides out, like with one half of the logo on each, and then use the V shape in the middle of the cutout and kind of like put a little 3D like interior on that to make it look like the letter V in there as well. And at the sketching stage I kind of give myself a bit of freedom by just kind of like blurring over some of the lines, but it was actually quite a lot harder in Illustrator to create that. I think this was because I don't like it when the two different colours were butted up next to each other, as that generally means that the logo won't work if you use it just in a single colour application. So I like to have some sort of separation between any colour. So I used a stroke on the edges to give it that separation that it needed, just a white stroke, which obviously once the logo is kind of like approved or whatever, you would just remove so it's transparent when you put it on a background. But for now, because I'm working on a white background, a white stroke just lets me visualise that. I think this coin splitting icon which forms a V is quite a nice concept, however there's something telling me that it might be a little bit too specific, because obviously it's not only splitting bills, so maybe it'd be better for like an icon on their website, just like showing one feature rather than their company logo actually using this splitting bills icon. Okay then Rebrand gang, just before I show you them final options, I wanted to remind you to press the little button up here and vote for your favourite option, then head straight down to the comments below and let me know why that was your favourite and what you would have done to improve it. If you like this video, please remember to press like, it really helps the channel out, and if you want to see a video like this every single week, press subscribe and then get the notifications on if you want to be the first to see the video each week. Okay then Rebrand gang, let's see them final options.